For those of you that are early birds, thanks for joining us for today's webinar. We're going to let everyone who is not an early bird join us, and we will start the event at 2 o'clock. So hang tight. Hello, and welcome to Live in SD, How to Maximize the ROI of Your Events, brought to you by SD Inbound. Today's webinar is being sponsored once again by Campaign Creators, and I am so happy that you have decided to join us today. Now, David Armano, he's the Global Strategy Director at Edelman. He said, provide an experience that is both useful, usable, desirable, and differentiated, and you will create demand for your brand and delight your customers. And isn't that what we as marketers all aim to do? Hi guys, I'm Tammy, and we may have met before, perhaps at an event. Maybe it was an SD Inbound seminar, maybe the Hug 17 conference this past year, or maybe a HubSpot user group. We are all proof that event marketing works. People actually like to go to events. Yes, real, live, in-person functions where you see each other face to face. But how many of you have attended or hosted an event for your company, and the second it ends, you're patting yourself on the back for a job well done, likely, well, at least in my case, with a beer in hand, and you're on to the next thing on your to-do list. We all have these incredibly long to-do lists. But we're all guilty of this. Unfortunately, we are missing out on a huge opportunity to truly create that demand for our brand and to delight our customers amongst a really highly competitive environment. So my goal today is for you to break that habit and to give you a game plan for getting the best return on your event marketing investment possible. So how are we going to do this? This is how the game plan breaks down. We have two event types that we're going to talk about today, attended events and hosted events. And then we're going to break down each of these events into three phases: the pre-event, during event, and post-event phases. So let's start with attended events. These include offline events like trade shows, conferences, and expos. So unless you are a Salesforce at Dreamforce or HubSpot at Inbound, then you are an attendee at these events, often just one of hundreds of vendors. Now for a little pop quiz. What do you think is the average cost of a 10 by 10 booth space? Is it $11,200, $41,400, $5,100, or $70,400? You guys can put your guesses in the chat room. Let's see if anyone gets it right. Well, according to the Exhibit Designers and Producers Association, the industry average cost per square foot for custom exhibits is between $138 and $154. So for a 10 by 10 booth space, that's 100 square feet, your calculated cost will be 100 times 138 times 3. That is $41,000. That is a lot of money to spend on a single initiative. So let's really make sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck. Now, attended events. Let's start with the pre-event phase. During this phase, nearly all of the marketing being done is to your existing leads in your database that have often been maybe acquired at previous events. So in this way, it's the loop closer of the event marketing strategy, which in some ways can be considered a cyclical process. So the pre-event phase here is centered on nurturing, and it is commitment focused. Your first step should be to segment your contact database and prioritize those contacts that would be most likely interested in your particular event. So for example, Inbound 17 is coming up this month. I don't know if any of you out there are going. If you are, let us know so we can meet up. But if we were hosting a booth, I would start by searching our database for contacts who utilize HubSpot. It's even possible to further sub-segment those top contacts into different categories so that you can cater your promotional material. For example, I could further sub-segment my HubSpot users by job title. I could then maybe create a list of recommended breakout sessions to attend based on their role. I could do the same using their industry. Another way to sub-segment would be based on, to sub-segment your list would be to drill into those contacts who came into your database via previous events. Then sub-segmenting based on the type of event or the theme of event they attended. So for those who attended this particular event before, you could offer like a VIP experience or a frequent attender gift if they visit your booth. For others, you can make mention of the previous event and why you believe they would also enjoy your upcoming event. Now, I just happened to get a great example of this from Vidyard this morning that was encouraging me to visit them at Inbound 17 later this month. And the reason I love this is because it incorporates a personalized video. It tells me exactly where to find them. I will receive a gift card and entrance to win a larger prize. And now I'm likely being targeted with this email for several reasons. One, I'm attending Inbound 17. Two, I visited their booth at the B2B MX conference earlier this year. Three, I work at a marketing agency. This is probably a target company for them. And four, I'm a marketing manager, likely one of their target personas. So they're doing a lot of things right here. And I have to be honest, I will probably be dropping by their booth. Step two, promote the hell out of it. And you want to develop promotional content for each of your awareness channels, your blogs, social media channels, email. I suggest a short promotional drip email campaign for, this works really, really well for event advertising. And you can continue to sell your contacts on the value of the event as details emerge. So many companies begin reaching out to potential attendees around 4 to 6 weeks beforehand. Early emails can be teasers and somewhat ambiguous, while later ones should mention details and include a clear call to action with a registration link. Your goal here is to get leads excited enough to show up to the event. And I love this example from Growth Driven Design I came across via LinkedIn this week. So they have a landing page dedicated to their presence at Inbound 17, which of course includes a video. But they also have a call to action to register to attend a meetup that they're hosting at the conference. But what I really love is their list of recommended sessions to attend for those interested in GDD and web design. This just provides a lot of value for their target persona and gets them excited to attend. And here's another example of just a fun video that we at Campaign Creators used to promote our booth at Hug 17 this last year that tied in our superhero theme. So bear with me, I'm pretty silly in this video.
Hey, can we buy this?
No, thank you.
Buy this?
Okay.
Buy this?
Really? Okay.
Buy this.
No.
Beat it, spammer. Leave this customer alone. He only has one move. I can't fight all these spammers alone. I need you to join the inbound marketing army by coming to Hug 17 next Thursday, February 2nd. You can get your tickets at hug17.com. Pretty silly, but it actually got quite a bit of attention, and it really got our whole team in the mood for the event. Now, moving on to our during event phase. This phase is primarily about lead generation, but don't forget about your current leads that you spent all that time nurturing to get there. Make sure that you're meeting up with these leads face-to-face at the event. It's really a good idea to set up a specific time to meet with them. So if you're hosting a booth, they can meet you there. Even if you're not splurging on a booth, you can have them meet you for coffee or lunch. You could even host a small happy hour near the event location for your really hot prospects. Your goal here is to have conversations. And now if you are hosting a booth, you will be sharing the space with a lot of other companies, some of them direct competitors. So generating interest in your booth is imperative. You need to get really creative with it to accomplish this task. You can consider an interesting booth design, a theme with interactive elements, maybe a contest, good swag giveaways, not crappy stuff. Again, your goal here is to stand out from the crowd. At Hug 17, Campaign Creators attempted to accomplish all four. Some of you may have even stopped by. So our booth design included a superhero-themed photo booth. It was enclosed by floor-to-ceiling walls, which created a sense of mystery and exclusiveness. We raffled away a t-shirt an hour to anyone who shared a picture from our superhero photo booth on social media. Our staff, which was naturally dressed in capes, was on hand to give away caped lollipops and waters, and best of all, free 30-minute strategy sessions. And rather than sitting behind a waist-high table, our staff stood at belly bars where we could engage with our booth visitors eye to eye rather than having to stare up at them from seats behind a table. And the result, our booth stood in stark contrast to the rest of the field, attracting really a consistent flow of traffic throughout the event. Step 2, throughout the day, you are trying to connect. So you need to find as many ways as possible to make leads feel welcome, valued, and engaged. Don't forget to have one or multiple elevator pitches rehearsed for a conversation with a prospect. These really can be kind of that make or break first impression. And be sure to collect their contact information, either by collecting business cards, old school style, or ideally digitally. which will save you a lot of time and the burden of manual data entry later. And even if the event doesn't have built-in badge check-in, you can create a landing page designated for the event. For example, we built our contact gathering at Hug 17 into our demo process. So because creating digital campaigns is what we do, we had visitors travel through one of our campaigns for themselves. And in this case, the first step of the demo, which is a campaign landing page, also served to collect their contact information. But regardless of how you collect that initial contact information, make sure to jot down notes, even a few bullet points about each conversation you have. And you need to get this info into your contact database or CRM as soon as possible. Your goal throughout the day should be to have genuine conversations with people. So try to learn about them first. What are their pain points and goals before you just start throwing your product or service at them? Time for another, you guessed it, pop quiz. What percentage of companies follow up on leads from attended events? 83%, 75%, 66%, or 47%? Let's see, what are we thinking out there? Go ahead and put your guesses in the chat. If you guessed 47%, you are correct. We call these missed opportunities, which means if you do follow up, you have already knocked out half of your competition. So, moving into the post-event phase, now it's time to redirect your goals towards nurturing once again so that you can really capitalize on those real opportunities. Step 1, you want to contact your leads promptly after the event. Optimally, no more than a day or two later. So to be well prepared, your nurturing campaign should have already been fully ready to launch when that first lead enters the system. Again, this is why if you collected leads digitally, this will cut down the time to respond substantially. And your company's name is just one of dozens your lead encountered, so don't be put off by the idea that they may not be keeping you at the top of their mind. Instead, try to remind them of some outstanding element of your presence or interaction with them at the event. This is really where those notes come in handy. And in your initial email, you want to explain how you attained their name. Did they drop a business card, have their badge scanned, or fill out a digital form? The details of the event, and reference that specific conversation they had with a representative if one took place. Your goal here is to keep from being forgotten. Step 2, you can go about sorting through your leads to find the good stuff in a couple of ways. One way is to apply lead scoring. So you can use lead scoring as a quick way to sort through the leads to find those who maybe fit your ideal customer profile or those closer to making a purchasing decision. But another way to sort through leads is to use a follow-up campaign that offers a range of options for further engagement. And you should provide several content options that appeal to prospects at various stages of the marketing funnel, while also throwing in a reference, of course, to an upcoming event they may find interesting. And if they bite on these offers, you know they're more qualified. And you can ascertain where they are in the funnel based on the type of offer they choose. Step 3, we really want to tailor our follow-up approach. So lukewarm leads will require a little more patience and maybe a non-intimidatingly paced drip email campaign, while hot leads will be able to handle a bit more energy in your offers, maybe even a phone call. And I say this because you really want to tailor that approach. I don't know how many times I've gone to a conference and just dropped a business card so I could grab some free swag, and I'm getting a phone call the next day. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a warm lead. However, if I sat and had a conversation, maybe went through a demo with you at your booth, in that case, maybe a phone call is appropriate. We also think that it's good if you send out an email with a "sorry we missed you" to the leads who didn't attend, maybe with some highlights from the event and a few links related to the content inside. You really just want to make the call based on whether you consider the lead to have gone entirely cold or just simply was unable to attend, maybe even at the last minute. All right, another pop quiz. In 2016, what percentage of companies achieved at least 3 to 5 times the return for every dollar spent on experiential marketing? Was it 40, 55, 69, or 76%? Again, let's see your answers in there in the chat. If you guessed 76%, you're correct. And if that's not enough to convince you to invest in this channel, I really don't know what is. So that brings us to hosted events. Now, when you're the one hosting an event, the event itself is the product that you're trying to sell. So these can be anything from a workshop to a seminar to a mixer. The main difference between hosted and attended events is that when hosting, you have a considerably greater amount of control over your lead's attention, but a lot, really a hell of a lot more responsibilities. So let's get into that pre-event phase. Now, a hosted event can be either lead generation or a lead nurturing opportunity, or even both simultaneously, depending on which clients you choose to target. And your goal is really, again, though, to get them to commit to attend. So marketing to get new leads to attend will obviously require lead generation practices, similar to the ones we covered earlier. While loyal past attendees of your events can and deserve to be rewarded with a lead nurturing campaign. So you really want to develop distinct drip email campaigns for both groups. And then just recognize that public platforms like social media are probably better for lead generation, while the customization factor of emails is best suited for nurturing. Now, I just love this event invite I received earlier this week from The Point, an event space on Mission Bay. If you haven't been there, check it out. It's beautiful. Let's first talk about maybe why I probably was receiving this email, though. I am a marketing manager, someone who does or should be holding events, likely their target persona. And also, I've been to The Point for a previous event, indicating that I am at very least a warm lead. Now, why do I like this email? Let's start with the greeting. They refer to me as an adventure seeker, event goer, and aficionado of good times. I'm thinking, yeah, that's me. And it's a hell of a lot more interesting and exciting than, hi, event planner. The other thing I love is how they present the event as exclusive invite only. This makes me feel special. In fact, even if I cannot attend, just being invited makes me feel good about myself and the inviter, in this case, The Point. Lastly, they asked me to bring a +1. This not only removes a chance that I don't go because I won't know anyone there, it actually tricks me into doing some lead generation for them. Like, how clever is that? I just love it. Now, the during event phase. As your company is single-handedly running the event, your work is cut out for you. But from the moment they walk in the door to the moment they exit, your priority should be the engagement of your leads. Remember, you will need to delegate a larger team towards running the event than if you were just attending, since you'll be responsible for setup and maintenance of everything. Leaving attendees feeling neglected is basically the worst thing that you can do. So make sure that you devote more than enough resources and personnel. Also, consider providing live updates throughout the event by uploading social media content and encouraging those attending to do so. This will not only document the event for participants and make them feel engaged, but it will show those who maybe couldn't make it what they're missing and potentially motivate them to attend the next one. Facebook Live is a great option for something like this. You can also set up an automated welcome email with the event agenda, social hashtags, and speaker bios, or just simply a thank you note to attendees the instant they check in. The rules are practically the same as those that apply to any instance of interacting with leads. Just make sure you're providing value and you're making it personal. Use your common sense. And just a little hack or tip for anyone that's using an Eventbrite integration with HubSpot. We do this where if so you can send that automated email when they check in. Make sure that basically the systems will stop syncing the second the sale of tickets ends. So you want to make sure you don't close ticket sales until the end of the event if you want these email triggers to happen. So that could really mess up any automation you have, you're expecting. All right, time for our last pop quiz. What % of consumers had a better opinion of a brand after attending an in-person event? Was it 74%, 54%, 34%, or 16%? Let's see your guys' answers. If you guess 74%, you are correct. And I just had to throw in at least one cat meme. But seriously, in-person events are your chance to really break through the noise and rise above your competition, especially if they're done right. So let's get into that post-event phase. As with attended events, the last phase is one that is focused on lead nurturing or business development, meaning the creation of long-term value for your organization from your customers and relationships. So because the spotlight is on your company, these kinds of events provide more of an opportunity for this long-term lead nurturing, which makes it all the more crucial to start your strategy early. Again, segmented content and outreach to qualified leads, regardless of attendance, is recommended. Keep in mind the background goal of completing the cycle is to generate interest in your product or service. There's also great value in ensuring simply that they come to your next event that you host. For example, after each inbound education seminar we help SD Inbound with, we send a follow-up email the next day recapping the event, providing the presentation slides, and a link to sign up for the next event. For many of you, that may be how you found out, for example, about this webinar. And then finally, for both hosted and attended events, to measure the success of your event, there are multiple relevant metrics to examine, some of which, like email click-through rates and registration to attendance rates, you may already be tracking with software. But there are others, like calculating your overall ROI, that will take a little more data digging and a little more time to figure out. I also suggest conducting a debriefing session with your team to discuss what went well and what could use improvement, and then compile all of this information into a post-event report. And you should use these insights to sharpen your strategy going forward. This way, every event, no matter what, is a learning opportunity. Now, when asked, why don't you follow up more quickly? Businesses said, or their most common answers were, lacking the time, tools, and organization. But with the right preparation, automation tools, and nurturing strategy, some of which you found here, you can blow your competitors out of the water. Now, I want to thank you all for attending today's webinar. Be sure to check out all of the events, both in person and online, that SD Inbound has to offer at www.sdinbound.com/events. Next up is the HubSpot user group meetup on October 10th at The Point on Mission Bay. And if you want access to the slide deck, or you just want to give us your feedback, please take our 2-minute survey at the link on the screen, surveymonkey.com/r/N5P6QYV. This will also be sent in your post-webinar email, so if you don't have time to type that in yet, don't worry about it. You will be getting that in your inbox. And if you want to connect with me further, you can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn, email, or using the chat feature on the Campaign Creators website. Now, I would like to see if anyone has any questions out there that I can answer. So I'm just going to jump into our live chat and see if you guys have any questions for me. So it looks like a question that we had submitted before the webinar asked, what are the benefits of each option, so attended or hosted, for a company? So I think that there are benefits to both. When it comes to an attended event, a lot of the event promotion is being done by the event host, right? So if you have a really good lead nurturing strategy, you can capitalize essentially on bringing in those leads that someone else had to generate in the first place. So you don't really have to work as hard to get leads there. On the other hand, you are competing with a lot of other people in the same space. Again, these could be direct competitors. So it's going to be a little bit harder to grab the attention of those leads. Now, when it comes to a hosted event, you have 100% of your leads' attention, but it is purely your responsibility to get them there. So in that way, the lead generation part, or just bringing promotional awareness to your event, is going to cost a little bit more upfront. Let's see if we have any other questions out there. Trying to look. So let's see, if you have a small budget, which option is better? Probably, I think you can get away with a smaller budget on a hosted event. There's a lot of places that will allow you to host something like a mixer, or you could even host something at your own office, or just a meetup at a bar where you actually don't have as many upfront costs. And so if you're looking for something like with a small budget, I think that's a good place to start. Most larger events, even for a smaller event, you're going to be putting down at least $500 just for your table. And then when you're talking about trying to make that table stand out, like we've talked about, you're going to have a much heftier price tag. Okay, another one we have, how long before a hosted event should you reach out? This really depends on the event. I think if it's a larger event, and primarily if you think anyone's going to have travel associated from out of town, then you're definitely going to want like a 4-month lead up. But I would say 4 to 6 weeks for more local events should be good. If you go too soon, you're going to need a really, really long nurturing campaign, or contacts may just, or leads just may simply forget about you. It's just a lot of lead up. Another question we have, are paid ads worth the cost when hosting an event? I think this just all comes down to where you want to put your budget. Something like the targeting available in Facebook ads to get down to who your persona is hard to match. On the other hand, there are a lot of free places to promote and list events and still get a lot of views. And so you may want to put your budget towards creating a better experience, and maybe just creating that better experience for leads that are already in your database versus doing a lot of promotional outreach. Again, it just depends on what your goal is for that hosted event, whether it's really lead nurturing of current leads, or if it's lead generation for leads that are not already in your database. That may require something like a paid ad to tap into. If you guys have any, let's see, we have a question. What would you do different in an industry-related event by third-party organization hosted in your office space? I'm not sure, Justin, I see your question on there. I'm not exactly sure what you are referring to. But I would say that if you're hosting something, just bringing up hosting something in your office space, like I said, I think this is a great option for the low budget, on the low budget side of a hosted event. It also lets people feel that personal connection to your business. Now, you obviously need a space that is conducive to having people there. If you just have a bunch of cubicles, that's going to be difficult, or if you just have a single small office space. But there's also places like WeWork that are community working places where you can host things if your office space isn't conducive to holding something like an event or a mixer. If you guys have any other questions out there, please reach out to me. Again, my contact information, I will switch back so you guys can see it. Oftentimes after these webinars, we will write a recap blog with any extra questions we got, and we do a little more research for you and try to provide you a little more value. I just really want to thank you all for attending, and we'll see you again soon. Don't forget to fill out that survey on SurveyMonkey. Have a wonderful afternoon, you guys.